do you think that there's any possibility that Johnson was aware of what was going on with Lemitzer and Taylor and their plan for the coup to kill Kennedy?
Well, I don't know about the precise details, but he knew it was coming. And they had to do that much because otherwise he wouldn't obey all the things that Burris was trying to teach him. Burris had a huge amount.
Who's Burris?
Howard Burris is a guy who worked in the Pentagon under Birkenau, General Birkenau, the highest Air Force guy in there, except for the chief of staff. Mm-hmm. And so Birkenau gave him the orders to be basically to mind Johnson. And that's not to do what Johnson says. It's the other way around. So he tells Johnson very early what he's going to do and how many times they're going to meet, what days, and all these details that you would expect it would be the other way around. And Johnson said famously, when he got the big list of things that he was going to have to, all the meetings he was going to have to, he said, well, I just thought we'd do it in the elevator one morning when I was coming down, but if you say so, all right. So he was told he was going to have to meet constantly. And so this Burris put together a huge, it was a number of people that worked for him that were working in the White House staff that prepares everything for the president. Mm-hmm. And so they and other people in the Pentagon were brought in as well to do research every day on what was going on in the world in numerous countries. And so on a daily basis, he would send these reports to LBJ around the world, and they were accurate. All of them were very accurate. But the same person who's in, I forget his name right now, who is in charge of putting everything together for the president, he also was involved, and he was the person who prepared exactly what Kennedy was going to be told, and that was completely different. So what Kennedy was actually told were things that were said to him in order to get him to do things that people wanted him to do. So it wasn't a good situation at all, where it was his own people who were briefing him at the National Security Council on a daily basis. Mm. But at the same time, that same apparatus is being used for Burris to put together very accurate details of things that are happening around the world. So when the time comes, he'll be able to understand what to do. And this goes on for most of the administration, and Burris actually leaves town in those last 6 weeks. He kind of knows what's coming. He's out of there. But Johnson, they don't tell him we're going to kill the president, but he knows somehow. I don't know whether it's a wink wink and a nod or something like that. We don't have a document where it says this is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. Johnson knows, and here's how we know he knows. So he's on Air Force One on the way home after the assassination, and he's looking out the window, and he's just staring out the window while they're airborne. And one of his aides, his top aides, noticed and said, what's the matter, Mr. President? And without even turning around and looking, he just said, are the missiles flying yet? Now, we know that. It's in 2 or 3 books, including mine. I got it from other sources, but he knew that he thought that this was it. He thought this would be, a big war. And it didn't happen. That's not what happened that day.
This is the same day.
Yeah, on the way back.
Wow. And this is the plane ride with
on Air Force
Jackie
One.
Kennedy was on the plane with him.
Yeah, Air Force One. So he knew something was going to happen, and he thought it was going to be war. So what it tells you is he wasn't totally clear on exactly what was happening, but he knew he was going to be president one day, and this is what he worried about, and which is why he tried to stop it when in '64, because he felt like Jamie Galbraith said, he felt intimidated the way they killed Kennedy. He was afraid.
Right.
But he said, no, just get me elected and then you can have your war.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So, but Johnson knew something was up. Okay? And otherwise, why all the preparation? Because the Kennedys thought that in the second term they were going to get rid of Johnson. And he knew that. That got back to him. They were going to drop LBJ.
How'd that get back to him? Why did they want to drop him?
Because he was a drunk. He wasn't. Yeah. They used him initially because Texas votes,
Right,
but he had to try to send him on trips to go here and there and represent the president and stuff, and he was constantly stepping on everything and drunk out of his mind and refusing to do it. Mm-hmm. With the time he sent this delegation to Vietnam, he said, I'm not going. I refuse. And Burris would say, yeah, now get your clothes on. We're going to go. And I can tell you lots of stories about LBJ and Burris in 61 and 62, which we don't need to do that right now because you were asking questions, and I think I told you what you need to know, which is that Burris was the handler, and because he was, Johnson knew exactly that he was going to be president. Mm-hmm. And how does he know that? And the only way that's going to happen is if Kennedy's not president.
And now, what essentially was the reason the nukes were never dropped? Is it because Russia was able to build up their nuclear arsenal by the time Kennedy was shot? There's
2 things. There's first that Johnson doesn't want to do it. He keeps the nukes in place, right? Doesn't want to do that. But as you move downstream, it gets to be more complex. By the time the Marines wade ashore at Da Nang, that's when that's our real true entrance to Vietnam is
after the Tonkin Gulf.
Is in May. Oh yeah, Tonkin Gulf is in 64. Mm-hmm. But he gets reelected, and then he's got to be sworn in and all that. So that goes into February, and then you got to start sending people over there and getting boats together and all that.
Right.
And so it's in May 65 before we actually start sending these troops in there. Okay. And by that time, the Soviet Union has a lot of ICBMs. The whole briefing that took place back in
61
is over.
Right.